Accordingly, it is apparent the staff at the site interacted with you in a manner inconsistent with the District Health Board's expectations and values. Wow. So you finally accepted that they acted in a manner inconsistent. No, they acted fucking appalling, you cock. That's what they did. On behalf of the DHBs, and he's put that in plural, I apologise for that failing. The incident has highlighted that our training of our staff and those of the numerous contractors engaged to provide services at vaccination and testing sites may be deficient in respect to engagement with the public, and we are addressing this issue. Now the fun begins. So after sending that to Mr. Twat himself, and at the bottom of that I put, notice, failed to respond within 10 days shall constitute a tacit agreement that Bruce Northey of Auckland DHB is aware of the unacceptable and appalling behaviour of NRHCC staff and Red Badge Security, and has chosen to accept full liability for any further harassment, alarm, attempts at vehicular assault, disorderly behaviour or distress caused by said staff. Should this happen upon my revisit to Massey site or any other site, I wish to seek information and opinions from. And final, note, the police have been made aware of my intent to return at some point, should I not be able to have any direct communication with these said contractors to attempt to seek redress, information and opinions. Alright, and then you can see I sent him a clip of that video. Bruce's response, your communication is acknowledged. Thank you for the link to your video of your audit of Massey site. I found it fascinating. Well, I'm glad you found it fascinating, Bruce. Because you see, what Bruce does later on is he tries to actually delete these bits of the communication in his final response. He's trying to control what I'm going to release. But see, Brucey doesn't seem to understand that once he sent something, I've got it. Doesn't matter if he deletes it out of his further responses, I've already got it. And you're already going to be shown up to be a complete dickhead. Like you are, Bruce. Oh, really? I mean, I wish, Bruce, I wish you and your husband the best of luck. That's all I can say. I found it fascinating. I will revert on your complaint and the points made below within the next 10 business days. Well, what happened to days, not weeks, Bruce? Not because there is an obligation on Auckland DHB to do so. Well, there is an obligation, but because that is the time frame that should be achievable. Is that right, Brucey? Because it's not, you don't achieve it. And then and then he says, in the interim, I noted your repeated reference that your collection and posting of images and other identifying information. Again, how do you identify some cockfuck with a mask on? Of staff at the site was lawful. Oh, what? You don't tell me it's not so. In the interim, I noted your repeated reference that your collection and posting of images and other identifying information of staff at the site was lawful because your activities were undertaken from a public place and are not for commercial gain. That comment is not correct. Really? The test under the Privacy Act, section 27(1)(b, we'll put that up as well, just for a bit of clarity. As to whether or not the Act and principles set out in the Act apply to the collection of personal information. They do apply to the collection of personal information by an agency, not by an individual. is whether or not you are collecting personal information solely for the purposes of or in connection with your personal or domestic affairs. Really? May I respectfully direct you to the Office of the Privacy Commissioner's website, for example, and he gives me these 2 links, which I'll also put up. Regards, Brucey. Fuckface Northey, General Counsel. Again, mobile number. You know, I didn't bother ringing him because the next thing you know, you have the cops on your doorstep and he'll say, oh, well, this was abusive phone call, misuse of phone call, and have the cops round. I'm not that stupid, quite frankly. And the only person that would probably be abusing that phone call would be him, and his lack of intelligence and being able to answer the 20 questions I gave him. Instead, he tells me what my comments are, whether my own comments are correct or not correct, instead of, you know, backing it up with something. Yeah, he's put sections of the Privacy Act. Whoopty shit, nothing to do with me. Yes, he's put links to the Privacy Commission. Again, nothing to do with individuals. But yeah, we'll move on. And this is my response to Brucey on the 28th of January. Greetings again, Bruce, and this is to Bruce, to Sue, to Gary R, and also to a few of my other people that I CC'd into, including media. Firstly, I might note that you have not answered one of my 20 questions. Perhaps you are unaware of the failure to respond notice. Given the fact that you responded within the time frame mentioned, it worked, thus cancelling any tested agreement by your not responding within the time frame. This leads me to further question your legal training, because you're thick. Until you are able to answer my questions, especially if you are legally trained, as now you appear to be telling me what is and is not correct. I did not ask you that, did I? To simplify, as you appear to be unable to answer very simple questions, are you legally trained? Given your apparent incorrect interpretation of the Privacy Act 2020 and delusion that it applies to individuals, last I checked, I'm not an agency. What private information are you alleging I collected? I'm asking that again. Until you are able to clarify what comment or advice you wish from me, I can't supply any. I note that you found the video fascinating. Perhaps if you had watched it prior to your first contact, you may not have come across so ignorant of the issues I have raised. I look forward to some answers if you're able to supply any. And I give him another failure to respond notice. Failure to respond within 3 days this time shall constitute a tacit agreement that Bruce Northey of Auckland DHB is now aware of the unacceptable and appalling behaviour of NRHCC and Red Badge Security, and has chosen to accept full commercial and personal liability for any further harassment, alarm and attempts at vehicle assault, disorderly behaviour or distress caused by said staff. Should this happen upon my revisit to Massey site or any other site I wish to seek information and opinions from. And then notice all correspondence will be published on for multiple maximum accountability and transparency, including but not exclusively this correspondence should you need clarity. Bruce Northey, I suggest that you cease appearing more ignorant than you may already be. I further suggest you stop digging your hole deeper and answer the questions that remained unanswered. Bruce responds on the Friday, the February the 4th. So it's like we'll let the weekend go by, but he still responded within the break. I trust you are managing to stay well and safe in these interesting times. So he calls everything interesting or fascinating. A git looking the way you do? I'm sure so does your husband. As this is a response to your complaint from the 21st of January regarding events that occurred on 18th of December outside the Massey Community Hub at 385 Dombuck Road, Massey, then operating as a pop-up vaccination and testing site, I have deleted the intervening emails to make matters clearer to the reader, should you choose to publish this email. Oh, well, thank you so much, Bruce. But I like to make matters full of facts and evidence, and try not to leave out shit. I don't try and delete things for, you know, that's literally like someone emailing a media organisation and saying, look, I'm just going to delete these other emails which are perfectly relevant and have everything to do with everything, but we're just going to delete those because you might be publishing it. What a fucking idiot, Bruce. You are a complete muppet to think that you can delete something and control what I release. Doesn't work that way, sweetie. I note that in one of those intervening emails you provided a link to a YouTube publication of the recording you made of your visit. Yes, Bruce, you found it fascinating in your intervening email. I have viewed the video. Congratulations. Probably charged an arm and a leg to the council for doing it too, or Auckland DHB. Probably stung them a few $100s just to sit in your ass and watch something. I have viewed the video, and I have not been advised by anyone who was on the site that this integrated and edited because there's 5 or 6 cameras going. Integrated, yes it is, but it is completely from start to finish. Nothing's been cut. Alright, there's a couple of things I muted out just because of YouTube's terms and conditions, but regardless, it's something that's perfectly fine to be said in public. Integrated and edited recordings from the various devices you had recording events, that it is other than an accurate recording of what occurred. Oh, brilliant. So you went to the staff on that site and you've had confirmation that it's accurate. Well, the only other option they had to do was lie, wasn't it? They're going to say, no, that didn't happen, even though the camera shows it? Is that the other option they had, Bruce? You fuckhead. Accordingly, it is apparent the staff at the site interacted with you in a manner inconsistent with the District Health Board's expectations and values. Wow. So you finally accepted that they acted in a manner inconsistent. No, they acted fucking appalling, you cock. That's what they did. On behalf of the DHBs, and he's put that in plural, I apologise for that failing. The incident has highlighted that our training of our staff and those of the numerous contractors engaged to provide services at vaccination and testing sites may be deficient in respect to engagement with the public, and we are addressing this issue. You're full of shit, because I just went and filmed the Westgate testing site yesterday, and they ain't got no fucking training. Pardon me?
Is everything alright there?
Why wouldn't it be?
Sorry?
Why wouldn't it be?
Just asking, is everything alright?
Everything's fine as far as I'm aware.
Alright, yeah. Just wondering, because you're recording on camera, right?
Yeah, it's called filming in public.
Alright.
Yeah.
Just checking on you. Just checking on you if you're alright there.
As last I checked, I'm perfectly fine. Sorry?
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, is there a reason why you're videoing our staff?
Yeah,
Yeah? Why is that?
there is a reason.
There is a reason?
Yeah, because I can. It's not against the law.
It's not against the law, but is there a reason why you've got no clients in here, so you're just videoing our staff?
I'm videoing the site.
What for?
Because I wish to.
What are you videoing the site for?
Because I wish to.
You wish to?
Yeah.
Boring video.
Not when people like you come up and question why I'm doing a perfectly legal activity in a public place.
Our staff,
So,
they can come to work without getting video.
they get filmed a lot.
They don't get filmed a lot. We always question people that come and video the staff.
Okay, and you're welcome to question.
And they also give permission when they get it.
Permission's not required. Permission's not required. Are you part of the NRHCC?
No, but they run this site, so I can get
Do they?
from the NRHCC account.
I would love to talk to someone from the NRHCC because I've been trying for months since one of your last nurses tried to run me over at the Massey Community Hub. Bruce Northey, your legal counsel for the DHB in Auckland, has been discussing things with me. He told me you'd all be educated about the law. So now you've still got some delusion of privacy.
Yeah. Oh, I think we're definitely entitled to our privacy.
Are you? Standing in public, not behind a wall.
Do you like it if we came and video you? It's not nice.
You can video me as much as you like.
Where do you work? It's not.
Pardon?
Where do you work to do it?
Doesn't matter where I work. I don't have to answer your questions.
It's not a nice thing for a human being to do to another human being.
To film you in public.
They're at work. That's our privacy. That
You have no privacy in public.
you are invading our privacy.
I'm not invading anything.
I'm telling you that you are because it's my privacy. You are invading.
You realise when you walk up to a person holding a camera, you're probably going to get filmed? They still came out with delusions. They still said I was invading their privacy. They still said I required consent from them. So, Bruce, you suck. Your extra training and information for your staff isn't taking. And I'm going to keep exposing this, you fuckwit. In that video, you record a nurse taking a video of you. So that's I can smell shit coming out of your mouth from here. Getting in his car and going. Yep, because I'm allowed to do that, and she wasn't, because she was acting in her personal, she was acting in her legal work capacity, working for the NRHCC, then contracting out, right? So, does that mean that anyone contracting to a DHB isn't bound by the Privacy Act, even as if they're working for the DHB as a contractor? You know, is that a manner inconsistent with the DHB's expectation and values? Because I expect you cunts to abide by the Official Information Act, which you haven't done. You've breached it, arsewipe. You have requested under the Official Information Act 1982 a copy of this footage. The simple answer to this request is the DHBs have not been provided with this video. Well, they should have been, because they were told at the time there would be a request made for it. But I guess that slipped your mind there, Bruce. The nurse was not a DHB employee. Really? So why the fuck are you talking to me then? If she wasn't a DHB employee, why are you sticking your nose in? Why are you even addressing her issue? She was an employee of a not-for-profit private health provider which is not subject to the OIA. I call bullshit. Finally, your video shows a car passing close to you when you were standing in the cycle lane. I was standing on the footpath, Bruce. You lying sack of shit. Perhaps you need to go back and watch the video again. I wasn't in any roads at all. I was standing next to the bus stop pole on the sidewalk. She was in the cycle lane. As you note in other communication, this caused you no concern at the time. No, I just said, what a fucking idiot, as they drove past, because I didn't realise just how close she come to hitting me until I reviewed the footage the day after. No concern at the time, but you have nevertheless reported the incident to Henderson Police. Yes, because that's called careless use of a motor vehicle. That's called unlawful use of your horn. That's called shouldn't be behind a fucking vehicle if you're going to use it as a battering ram to try and scare some cunt. I simply needed to trip on the fucking footpath, slip on the gutter, fall into the cycle lane where she was, and get hit by her. Then there'd be a completely different story. Oh, I didn't see him. Is that why you tooted? You know, it's unbelievable the amount of corruption this fuckface Bruce Northey has decided to go ahead and say. Next week, I will review the numerous questions and issues you raised in your intervening communications and respond appropriately. You missed Lee. Bruce Northey again. So he's not going to answer my numerous questions. He's not going to give me the OIA because he's saying even though they're a non-for-profit contractor to the DHB, he's saying they're not bound by an OIA. Liar. If the video's not been supplied to DHB, then that's on NRHCC not abiding by the OIA. So the whole thing. So as far as their apology is concerned, their empty apology, and then further accusations that I was standing in a cycle lane, again, fuck off, Bruce. Next. And, oh yeah, it's just the bottom bit there. Now, I respond to Bruce, Sue, Gary R, because see, I let everybody, he's just responding to me. He's not responding to Sue and to Gary. He's trying to keep it all just between me and him. Aggravating fuckface. If I ever come and run into him, it's going to be an interesting meeting. Good afternoon, Bruce. Yes, safe and well, but that does not mean much these days. Anyone may be asymptomatic, correct? You yourself may have Omicron, according to the one source of truth, the government. If not, expect it. I choose to go by what I do know and can prove versus propaganda. Thank you for your response to my complaint, which was initially made to the Health Board late December. Your response is to the follow-ups and numerous chase-up emails I made to many people relating to the NRHCC staff, which you state you have limited oversight of, yet fail to even mention them in your response. Although I appreciate your attempted assistance in deleting intervening emails in a stated attempt to make matters clearer for my viewers, that is not your job, concern or relevant, as I will release, as I have done already in the past, the complete, unedited and well synchronized production, including your intervening emails, where you allege I have breached the Privacy Act, recorded personal information without any specific reference when questioned, and made myself the victim of your poorly trained contractors appear to be a wrongdoer, which I have taken as a personal insult from you, Bruce, way to represent. So are you planning to drip feed me your edited, as you like to delete content, answers over a long period of time? What happened to getting this resolved within a few days versus weeks, as you previously stated? Why have you taken a 180-degree shift from accusing myself of breaching the Privacy Act, 2020 Section 27, when in fact it was the NRHCC, or is it private non-for-profit contracting nurse, which you have claimed to have limited oversight over? I would have thought, given you cannot answer simple questions like, are you legally trained, as you have practiced law for almost 4 decades, being registered as a lawyer since 1975, you could answer simple questions. I've got his LinkedIn page, I'll chuck that up for you to all have a look at as well. Your apology is not accepted, regardless of what you wish deleted, will be published. You are aware that deleting something at your end does not delete it at mine, aren't you, Bruce? As for your response regarding the private non-for-profit contractor, I will put it in a term you may understand. They are contracted to you. Do you comprehend the 4 corners rule? These contractors, who are contracted by DHB according to you, have acted, as you put it, inconsistent with the DHB's expectations and values. So, where is my redress? As contractors working for the DHB, they are obliged to adhere to the Privacy Act 2020. According to the Privacy Act 2020 that you felt so free to point out to me, Bruce, you may have missed in your decades of the following: Section 27.1a, or perhaps Section 27.2a. I'll put them up. I suggest you review Section 10.1 and Section 10.3. Regardless of being a non-for-profit contractor, they are deemed as part of your agency. Your contractors breached Section 22.1a to b, IPP 1, by recording myself making a DHB record in her capacity as a representative of the DHB. Also, IPP 5a, I through III, was breached, as they were informed at the time I required the recording and would be requesting it. So please, Bruce, by all means, explain why you have accused me of breaching the Privacy Act 2020. Should I just file a civil proceedings against the DHB for defamation, given not only did you accuse me of breaching the law, you also sent it to a third party, Sue French, not to mention the appalling behaviour of your contracting staff. The DHB, as you have now confirmed, contractors are certainly obligated by the Privacy Act 2020 and the Official Information Act 1982, given they were representing the DHB. Or should we be telling everyone at these testing stations, don't worry, these contractors do not have to abide by law, even when posed as acting for the DHB? I suggest you get the video. Or has the nurse breached other sections of the Privacy Act 2020 and after being told a request would be made on the day, then deleted it? Like intervening emails, Bruce? Frankly, I am considering filing a complaint with the LCRO given your correspondence to date. That's the Law Commission Review Office. I shall look forward to your next instalment of edited responses and half-answered questions done out of the kindness of your heart with my viewers in mind. Such a sweetie. Now, if you could, 1. Supply the footage once you have recovered it from the nurse who was contracting to your DHB at the time before civil proceedings commence against the DHB for the record being lost or destroyed. 2. Supply the contract details of your contracting NRHCC supervisor so I can address their behaviour directly, short of returning on site for answers directly. 3. Supply a signed letterhead of apology for the appalling behaviour by a number of your staff and the foul-mouthed supervisor, which again you seemed not to have addressed. Thanks for verifying that the camera does not lie. By the way, you just seem to continually keep digging yourself and the DHB a bigger hole. May I suggest the next time you accuse a person of breaching your poor interpretation of legislation, best get your facts straight. Try watching a video showing the entire interaction. It would give you more credibility, Bruce. Redress my complaint properly and do not accuse me of anything without grounds again. This would be unwise. Have a wonderful evening, Bruce. Regards, me. And this is Bruce Northey's response on the 11th of February at 7:33 in the morning. Well, at least he gets up early. Probably like the manager at that testing site. He's probably suffering from a terribly bad sexual experience the night beforehand, and that's why he's up early. This is from Bruce, sorry. There's no hi or anything. It's just straight off, you state. Not greetings, Mark, or anything. You state that Auckland's DHB apology for the events that occurred on the 18th of December 2021 outside the Massey Community Hub at 385 Donbuck Road, Massey, then operating as a pop-up vaccination and testing site, is not accepted. You asked instead for redress. This appears to be by Auckland DHB providing 1. Video footage taken by a nurse working on the site. Thank you for confirming she was working on the site that you guys oversaw. So cough it up. I have contacted her employer, who has confirmed this recording was taken by the nurse for personal use. Really? So let me guess, the footage she took of me on the sidewalk waving to her camera for the 2 minutes trying to intimidate me and capture me, who said that should be enough, deeming that she's trying to record it to give to her supervisor or the police or whatever, like I give a fuck. It's for her personal use. So she's lying in bed at night time watching that video having a play with herself. Is that what you're meaning, Bruce? Is that the personal use she's getting from it? Is she having a every night? Is that what you mean? Please clarify. What personal use does... Are people working in any work site allowed to record what they like for personal use while they're employed? No fucking way they're not. They are making a record, acting as an employee, therefore it falls under the OAA and Privacy Act. It just gets better and better how stupid this prick fucking wants to make himself appear. That is, neither her employer or DHB have collected and hold this information. Well, they should, because you were told to fucking supply it. You will be aware that you have a right under the Privacy Act to lodge a complaint with the Office of the Privacy Commission. You hold a contrary view as to our responsibilities under that Act in relation to the video. The contact details of NRHCC supervisor for the site. This request is declined. I have responsibility for this issue on behalf of Auckland DHB and NRHCC. I thought you just had limited oversight. Now you have responsibility. Well, I'm glad you're going to be taking responsibility for it, Bruce. 3. A signed letterhead of apology. Is that too much to ask for? And this is the cockhead's response. The apology provided is signed by an officer of the Auckland DHB from an Auckland DHB address. No, it isn't. There's no signature there. So you're full of shit, Bruce. Your signature's not there. In addition to the communications below, you have sent several communications since I first advised you on the 25th of January I would be addressing your complaint. My role is to simply to respond to that complaint on behalf of Auckland DHB. Oh, and insult the person making the complaint numerous times. Yeah, that's your role, is it, Bruce? And as none of the points set out in your emails are relevant to addressing your complaint or Auckland DHB and NRHCC's responsibilities for these matters, I do not need to address them. So there goes the, I'm going to be dealing with your numerous questions later on. It's now turned to, I do not need to address them. Oh well, up to you, Bruce. I'll let the public decide on you, you piece of shit. Regards, Bruce Northey, General Counsel. Again, his phone number 0219381004. B Northey at adhb.govt.nz. Okay, and here's Bruce's LinkedIn thing. Our pride principles underpin everything we do here at Health Source. Join us in congratulating the Capital Procurement team for winning our pride. Fuck off. What pride do you guys have? You have shame. You haven't acted your... I'm not even going to go there. They're just... You've got to laugh or get really angry. And I don't like to get really angry. So thank you for the humour. You fucking dickhead. Let's have a look. What does Bruce look like? Oh no, first of all, here's his experience. General Counsel for Auckland DHB since June 2002. He's been present for 19 years and 9 months. So clearly he knows how to milk the system. He's just a fucking state employee milking money. Auckland DHB is New Zealand's largest public health provider, employing over 8,000 staff. The internal legal department of 3 FTE providers provides commercial, public law and medico-legal advice across the organisation. Yeah, might want to check on that advice because clearly Bruce's fucking legal interpretations are wrong. What a cunt. Education, University of Auckland. Groups, ILANZ Community, New Zealand In-House Legal Network. Okay? Oh! And there he is. Now, does that look like someone that's supposed to be clever, or does it look like someone that suffered from a bad sexual experience? In fact, something might already still be stuck in somewhere with that smile. Yeah, there it goes. Alright, so that's the end of that. I thought I'd post this one up first before I showed you what happened at the Massey testing site at Westgate. At the because you see the pop-up site in Donbuck Road is now no longer there, and the vaccination centre that was at the bottom of the hill there where the buses parked, where people were protesting, that's moved too. So now they're just in this huge car park with a whole bunch of fucking tents all sitting in there doing sweet fuck all. As the nurse said, and you'll see this in the next video, we've got no clients. Really? So where are all these tests coming from then? Unbelievable. Anyway, see you later guys.